Thank you, everyone. My number one job as the New York State governor is to keep people safe. And I believe that the best anti-crime tool we have is a job. When people have steady work, they're less likely to commit crimes and less likely to be homeless. New York also has a labor shortage right now. I have 460,000 jobs that are unfilled today. Our employers are begging for workers. That's the equivalent of the populations of Buffalo and Rochester combined. Plenty of work, right? So, common sense. We do everything we can to fill those jobs. But New York State is lagged behind some other states, sad but true, lagged behind other states in allowing people to get jobs because they're haunted by perhaps long ago criminal records, right? They've paid their debt to society. Now let's make that very clear. They've gone through the process. They did their time. They're done. But when they re-enter society, there's still barriers to housing and jobs. I say no more. Today, we're here today to correct that injustice by signing into law the Clean Slate Act. And I want to thank our Attorney General, Tish James, for all her work on this initiative. I want to thank the District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez, great champion, the sponsors of the legislation. Let's give a special round of applause to Senator Zelna Riley and Catalina Cruz. Stand up. There have been many powerful voices behind this movement. I want to thank the leaders of the labor community as well, the labor union in the House. Thank you for your support for this. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I want to thank businesses led by Kathy Wild, the President and CEO of the Partnership for New York City, for adding her voice behind this and the voices of thousands of employers. Thank you. And we have a lot of people who will validate us all over the social media world. I'm excited about this. Lala Anthony is here, TV personality, actress and activist. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you. We also have a woman whose life was touched by this problem up until now. Melinda Agnew, you'll hear her powerful story. I look forward to hearing her remarks. I also want to thank the members in my administration that have been out there on the front lines, championing this, but also making sure that it works for everyone. And the state legislators, let's give them a round of applause. Our senators and assembly members, thank you for all you've done for us. And the members and advocates of the New York Clean Slate Coalitions, congratulations to you. Since I took office 2 years ago, I've been laser focused on, as I said, protecting New Yorkers and driving down crime. Murders are down 38% statewide. That's amazing. The other day, the NYPD reported that we had gone an entire week without a single murder in New York City. We've not done that since 2018, and that was a historic low not seen since the 1950s. We're making progress, and we're continuing to invest in criminal justice. $500 million in the 2024 budget that was passed by all of us, the legislators and myself. And we're focused on helping low-income New Yorkers get better legal representation, as well as boosting alternatives to incarceration. Those are important priorities of mine. And with the signing of this law, it adds to our momentum to get people back to work, give them those opportunities, and all those people who've been convicted, not able to find someone who believe in them again, who help lift them up, Give them a home, let them have independence again, have the dignity of a job. It means everything to people. And this is even years after they've done their debt to society, years after they've done nothing else wrong. And if they can't take care of themselves and their families, what alternatives do they do? It cycles people back to the streets. That's not what we want to have happen. We invest in people, we believe in people, we keep them out of that alternative, which led them to this place in the first. That's what we have the power to do here today. And as we know, if people end up in financial desperation, they may recommit crimes. That's not what we want to have happen, because we want to make sure people feel and are safe in the state. We disrupt this cycle with this law by sealing criminal records for specific crimes after a rating period. Now, we're talking about misdemeanors for starts, sealed after 3 years after someone gets out of jail. The waiting period is 8 years after being released from jail for felonies. Now, if they've had their probation or parole revoked, the clock starts over again, right? You only get this if you've turned your life around. But the good news is millions of people have. They're the ones we're focused on here today. We seal the records. They can look for a job, learn a trade, without having that permanent scarlet letter on their forehead that says, I can't work, I won't be able to work. That's what we're taking care of today. We're talking about people who went before a judge and a jury, paid the price for their action, and sometimes over many, many years. As a society, we must welcome them back, help them get back on their feet. Supportive housing sometimes. I've wanted job training while people are still incarcerated, helping them overcome their subsidies while they're still incarcerated, having a welcome home for them, and even bringing our Department of Labor teams to the prison so they can sign up for jobs and know it's out there. We can keep investing in people even before they come out so they know there's a better alternative. That's how we help them. That's how we keep society safe from future criminal acts. You're going to hear in a couple minutes from Melinda Agnew, a mother, an educator, will share her personal story of looking for work, raising a family, trying to build a life, all while being haunted by an old criminal record. She was sentenced to 3 years of probation in 1999, but that record followed her the rest of her life, even as she'd wanted to pursue a master's degree and become a teacher's assistant at Syracuse. But she's a story of success. When you hear her story, you'll know what hope is all about. When we believe in people and give them a chance, she's a model of what we're going to be doing for nearly 2 million people with the stroke of a pen today. When I considered this process, this bill, which I introduced in my budget last year, she said, no matter how many years of education I have, Melinda said, I'm still being judged for something I did as a young girl. We're not going to continue to judge people by their worth moments in life when they've paid their debt. We'll have that pathway for change and for growth and for renewal. 1 in 8 New Yorkers have faced these obstacles. 1 in 8. That's millions of people. And the burden has particularly fallen hard on Black and brown communities. We've waited too long to rectify this. There's so many good reasons to make this change. When someone has a job, they can pay taxes, support their family, become involved in community life, their children's schools, their places of worship, start a small business, invest in others, hire other people. You know, other states have done this. And to those who want to weaponize this as a political issue, I just need to point to deep red states like Oklahoma, South Dakota, Missouri, Utah. They're way ahead of us on this, and they're showing that it works. We're not the first. The evidence is there. When you give people jobs, they don't commit crimes, crime rates go down. It's common sense, people. Now, it doesn't apply to every conviction. Now, this is where we need to be the truth tellers out here, okay? Tell the truth. We're not sealing records for sex crimes or most Class A felonies. Employers and the public have a right to know about the sex offenders and the worst violent criminals before they give them a job. This only seals crimes for certain civil purposes, just as for job applications, which is what we're doing here today, and housing applications. Law enforcement will always have access to these conviction records. I've heard law enforcement tell me they didn't think that was the case. I said, no, that's exactly the case. Whether they're carrying out an investigation, issuing an order of protection to protect someone, or vetting someone to work in jobs where they're dealing with children or elderly, places where a background check is required. So this will not change access to records for murderers, sex offenders, or domestic terrorists. It will not change records for law enforcement or for gun safety background checks. It won't change the sex offender registry. So that's what we're talking about here. So all of those who are going to peddle in misinformation, and they've already started, the truth will be a barrier. The truth will be the sword, because you need to know what the truth is, and I'm telling you right now. There are people who want to scare you, but I'll tell you the truth, and I'll keep you safe. This will not make law enforcement's job harder. It will not. But what it does, it has massive, tangible economic benefits for employees and employers alike. The Brennan Center for Justice estimates because of underemployment due to this problem with conviction records, it costs about $12 billion a year in reduced wages for New York. I'd rather see that back in the economy, wouldn't you? I think that sounds pretty good, $12 billion. And as I said, the business community wants this. The Partnership of New York, the Business Council of New York, representing businesses all over New York State, the Second Chance Business Coalition, representing major firms, from J.P. Morgan Chase to General Motors to Walmart, they all back this legislation. In fact, it was J.P. Morgan Chase Chairman and CEO Jamie Dimon who first talked to me about this when I first became governor. And people like Jamie have been great champions. Small businesses want it too, because if they can't hire people, they don't grow. Criminal justice advocates have backed this for a long time as well. I tip my hat to them for what they've done. Law enforcement. Many members of law enforcement have backed this too, because they want to make their jobs easier. They want someone to have a job instead of another crime being committed. So, how often do you see law enforcement, criminal justice advocates, unions, and businesses coming together around the same piece of legislation? How often? I'll tell you right now, it's a rare day, and you are all here to witness this. This is extraordinary. We got it done. It's a victory for common sense and moral decency. It's a victory for anyone who believes in economic progress and a just society. It's a victory for anyone who wants to make sure that our communities are safe and vibrant. So I am so proud, minutes from now, to sign the Clean Slate Act and give businesses the help they need and give millions of New Yorkers the second chance they deserve. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And with that, let me bring our Senate sponsor to the podium, Zelnor Myrie.
Thank you, thank you. I haven't even started, and I need tissue. First, let me say good morning to everyone. Welcome to Brooklyn. Welcome to the Brooklyn Museum. Let's give it up for the museum for opening up their space. About 5 years ago, under a 10-minute walk from here, I was with Brother Zaki at a coffee shop talking about collateral consequences for convictions. And here we are today. The bill's getting signed. I want to thank the governor for her courage to get this over the finish line. I want to thank my staff. I don't know where my staff is. Stand up, please, for getting this across the finish line. I want to thank my sister in the assembly, a fighter, someone who fought day in and day out to get this across the finish line in her house, Catalina Cruz. I want to thank all my brothers and sisters in labor who stood with us every day to get this passed as well. Any of you who know me know that I am a mama's boy, so anytime my mom is in the audience, I have to thank her. Mommy, please stand up and get the recognition. But most importantly, I want to thank the impacted New Yorkers, the people who have lived with conviction records for all this time. I want to thank you for your determination, your persistence, every single call, every email, every trip up to Albany, every lobbying effort. You are the ones that got this done, so thank you. Big round of applause for them. Anyone that has been involved with this effort knows that this bill is unlike other bills that we have passed. We have not gotten the amount of calls, emails, texts, approaches. When we passed this in the legislature, we had staff members that worked in Albany, worked in the legislature, who discreetly came up to us afterwards and said, thank you. And so you wonder, what is different about this bill than all of the other important things that we work on every single day? And I believe that what separates Clean Slate is that it is fundamentally about hope. And not hope in the political sense of the word, not hope that we see on a meme or on a poster. I'm talking about actual hope, something that can be delivered. And sometimes we don't understand what that means, but we know very clearly what the absence of hope looks like. Here's what the absence of hope looks like. You were convicted 40 years ago for a crime. You served 20 years for that crime. You go back out, you're in our community, you're in our neighborhood, and you said, I'm gonna start over. So I'm gonna go apply for a job. I haven't been able to do that for 20 years. And you go and apply, and the response is, thanks, but no thanks. We still think you are the worst thing you've ever done. So you said, okay, well, maybe that job's not for me. Let me apply to another job. And you apply to the second job, and the response is the same. The third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. You said, okay, I'm not gonna apply for work. Let me at least try to get a house, a place to live. And when you apply, the response is, you are the worst thing you've ever done. There is no hope for you here. So you can't get a job. You can't find a place to live. You say, well, maybe I'll go to school. Maybe I'll get an education. Maybe that'll help. And you go apply for financial aid, and guess what? No hope. You are the worst thing you've ever done. So what are we to tell these New Yorkers who have served their time, who have paid their debt, who are back in our communities right now? We must with the stroke of the governor's pen, restore hope to them today. If you are a New Yorker who has served their time, who has paid their debt, help is on the way. If you are a daughter looking to your mom and saying, "Mommy, why can't we have food on the table?" And the mom can't say that society has designated me irredeemable, what she can say is that Clean Slate is on the way. For our communities, and I'm so proud to represent Central Brooklyn. You are in the 20th District, just to be clear. For our communities that suffer the public safety challenges our governor just laid out, help is on the way, because if you have an alternative, you will take that path. And our communities deserve to be safe. They are invested in being safe. And what Clean Slate does is give everyone the opportunity to be a safe and productive member of their community. Help is on the way. So I stand here so incredibly humbled by how many people touched this effort. Countless of individuals who, without their efforts, we would not be standing here today. And what it demonstrates is that we can do difficult things together. In fact, when they are difficult, it is imperative that we work together. You've heard so much about how broad this coalition is. Look at what we have produced. A life-changing piece of legislation, even though we all come from different sectors, different industries, different political viewpoints. New Yorkers can get big things done, and that's what Clean Slate is about today. So I thank the governor again for her signature. I thank you all for joining us today. Clean Slate can't wait, it's here.
Please welcome to the podium, Assemblymember Catalina Cruz.
Buenos dias, everyone. Today is a good day. Oh. Today, we're going to begin to change the lives of 2.3 million people in this state and their families. Let that sink in. We're going to start breaking that cycle of poverty and injustice that's been perpetrated by a criminal justice system that was designed to do exactly what it's doing right now, to keep people eternally under its thumb and changing generations to come. As a society, we should be judged on our ability sorry guys, I never get to say this, but I'm really nervous today. So I'm gonna tell you a short story of why I'm nervous, and then I'll do my speech. 2 years ago, I almost gave up, and Marvin Mayfield told me I couldn't afford to do that. So today, I'm just remembering him a lot. And Mrs. Mayfield, I know you're in here. I didn't give up, Mrs. Mayfield. All right, I'm gonna start that again. As a society, we should be judged on our ability to give strength to the downtrodden, empower the disenfranchised, give justice to the invisibles, and forgive those who seek redemption. I want to thank our strong coalition of unions, legislators, social services organizations, religious leaders, small and large businesses, but above all, I want to thank the coalition of real-life impacted individuals like our late Marvin Mayfield, and my partners in this effort, Mr. Saki and Garrett. Because for 3.5 years, You never gave up. This legislation isn't just about criminal justice. It isn't just about public safety. It isn't just about economic justice. It's about redemption. Because people can change, people can get better, people can repent, and people can and should be forgiven. That's what every God and every religion teaches us, and that is how I grew up, believing in the power of redemption and forgiveness. And to make sure that we give people second chances. And now there are more than 2 million New Yorkers who've made a mistake. And no matter the circumstances, a record remains that is going to haunt them. And upon their return home, they have tried to get a job, to get housing, but they are repeatedly reminded that their worst moment will forever haunt them. And for those 2.3 million New Yorkers and their families, it is a sentence that will never really end. But starting today, in just a few short moments, when the governor signs it, Clean Slate will begin to change that. It'll begin to change the lives of people like Marianne, who lives in the Hudson Valley. She's a survivor of domestic violence that took a plea after she used her husband's credit card in order to flee his abuse. She served her time, successfully completed probation, and even got a master's degree, and still couldn't get a job. But in addition to Marianne, Clean Slate will change the lives of Marianne's children and her children's children and her children's children, changing generations to come so that they can escape the plague of poverty and the distorted criminal justice system that prevents families and communities from advancement and from redemption and from moving forward. And maybe one day Marianne's children and her grandchildren will become lawyers, legislators, or community leaders, and be proud of their matriarch's ability to repent and be redeemed. Study after study, the research has shown us that Clean Slate will strengthen families and communities and reduce recidivism. We make our communities safer by giving people stability, access to housing, education, and employment. Clean Slate addresses the systematic barriers to jobs and housing posed by old conviction records and is going to absolutely boost our economy. And it's going to improve our safety. And so to the naysayers, I want to say, please stop using survivors as a shield. Because if we had the opportunity to forgive those who have wronged us, if they showed us that they deserved a second chance, I can tell you that we would do that. And contrary to what many people believe, we're also keeping our communities safe because we're sealing and not expunging, and our folks who are prosecutors, who are law enforcement, will continue to have access to the information. It's been 3.5 years, and I did not do this alone. To my team, thank you. If you guys can get up, and my family, thank you. And I know folks from our central staff team are also here, as well as my partner. We would not have been able to do this without the family in our legislature, as well as my colleagues that hold us up together. I also want to thank the Clean Slate Coalition. You guys are absolutely amazing. Things looked a little dark there for a moment, and you guys never gave up, and we worked through it, and we are changing people's lives. It was absolutely an unexpected type of alliance with many folks. There are folks that you wouldn't expect would be on the same side, and they are, because we all believe in the power of redemption, and that we are bigger than the worst mistake we've ever made. And I also want to thank Speaker Hasty, who could not join us today, but who I know has remained committed to delivering hope for people. And I want to thank my brother, Z. And your team. You guys never gave up. You fought right along with us, and for that I want to thank you. I also want to thank my colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate who sponsored the bill, for recognizing the importance of truly giving a second chance. And Governor Hochul, I know you're going to probably take some heat over doing the right thing, but that's what leadership is. And you have demonstrated that to us today, that you believed in the power of second chances and you believe in the good nature of New Yorkers. And so for that, thank you. And I want to thank all of you for believing in the power of redemption and helping us deliver it for more than 2 million New Yorkers and their children and their children's children and their children's children. Thank you. With you, our amazing Attorney General, Tish James.
Thank you. So I love this room. I love this room. I've loved this room for a long time as a former city council member. I love this room because of the acoustics. Your voice just booms and it echoes, and you hear it over and over again. But it really symbolizes in me this moment right now. Individuals who for a long time have yelled and their voices have been loud and they've bounced off the walls and no one has heard them. I just want the coalition to know, and all that have assembled this morning, that today the whole world hears your voices. Congratulations. We elect individuals into office to make a difference in the lives of others. And it's really important that you understand and you know who you vote for, because this is a moment and this is a piece of legislation that will have profound impact on so many individuals, not only in the city, but also be a sample for the state of New York. And I just really want to thank my colleagues in government who have stood the test of time. Of course, my sister, Assemblywoman Cruz, I want to thank you for not giving up. Not giving up because so many people counted on you. Not giving up because you didn't give in. Not giving up because you're telling the story of countless number of individuals who are hidden from the vast majority of people. So I thank you so much for not giving in and not giving up. My little brother, Senator Myrie, he's a force to be reckoned with, and I can tell you that God is not finished with him yet. There is a future for this young man. So I still have years in office. I'm still young, so hold tight. But watch out for Senator Myrie. And of course, my brother who believes in social justice as I do each and every day, who stands up for the rights of individuals in the great borough of Brooklyn, my brother, our District Attorney, Eric Gonzalez. And I want to thank the governor. And the Assemblywoman is right. She will be attacked. We will all be attacked. I guarantee you that. Tomorrow, all you have to do is look at a certain paper, and you will see it. Governor Hochul, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your strength. I'm glad you're wearing red today, because that represents passion and that represents fire. Give it up to our governor. We are a forgiving society, a society that should look beyond your faults and look to your needs. And that's what this bill actually does. It's a bill that, again, represents that individuals should have second chances. The Clean Slate Act represents a basic principle about life, that everyone deserves a second chance, that everyone should be forgiven, that we all make mistakes, that no one is perfect, and that we all different than we were 10 and 20 and 30 years ago, and that we've all learned and we've all grown and we've changed, and we must afford that same opportunity to impacted individuals as well, especially when we all know that we are operating within a system that has long treated Black and brown people differently. There is a slogan that if you do the crime, you do the time. But then what? Then what? What do? We all know that those who have been convicted of a crime face incredible burdens and hardships and hurdles. after they've served their time or paid their dues. When they cannot get a job, not only do they suffer, but their families suffer. And most importantly, their children suffer. Our economy suffers. We all suffer. They struggle to find jobs, to find housing, education, and all the basic things needed to restart their lives on the right path. And that's why we need the Clean Slate Act. It will help, yes. It will help impacted individuals find stable homes and good-paying jobs and quality education, particularly at a time in our economy when businesses say that they can't find employees. Well, the reason why is because so many of them have given up, because they believe that their past, unfortunately, determines their future. And I say no, that this is a clean slate, a clean start, a clean future, and you can go forward and lift up all of those who depend upon you. It will make our justice system more fairer and more equitable. It will help build stronger families and communities, because when our parents have a job and can afford a safe place to live, it means our kids can have a place to live and can have food on the table. It means that they can grow up in a stable home and have access to opportunity they otherwise wouldn't have. The Clean Slate Act will help millions of people in the near future, but it will also have a profound impact for generations to come. So I want to thank everyone involved who has made this happen. This will truly change lives. I've heard their stories. We've all heard their stories. And that's why we are in office. I too live in Central Brooklyn. I too know individuals who stand on the corner each and every day and tell me, Tish, they won't hire me. Tish, I can't find a job. Tish, I can't find housing. I can't pay for my kids. This is why I'm on the corner. Well, now we can say you no longer have to stay on the corner. It's important that you go and find a job and raise your family and be a productive member of society and forget your past and only focus on your future, and that's what this bill does. I have the honor and the privilege of introducing to you an impacted individual. She has the courage to tell her story, the courage to be the face of the Clean Slate Act. And I have always been told that if you want something done, give it to a woman. No, the guys didn't applaud. If you're sitting next to a guy who didn't applaud, if you want something done, give it to a woman. Because there's nothing more powerful than a woman with a made-up mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Melinda Agnew.
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Melinda Agnew, and I am a member of Center for Community Alternatives, also known as CCA. After years of organizing, I am overjoyed to celebrate Governor Hochul signing the Clean Slate Act into law. Clean Slate will help break the shackles of perpetual punishment and allow millions of New Yorkers like me to take care of ourselves and our children. In October of 1999, I was sentenced to 3 years probation. I completed my sentence, and since then, I have become a mom and now a grandmother. I returned to school and obtained both my bachelor's degree and my master's. Yet, 26 years after successfully completing my sentence, despite all that I have accomplished, I continue to have doors closed in my face. I have been turned away from jobs, denied promotions, and rejected from housing programs because of my 2-decade-old conviction record. This has had direct financial consequences for my family. I am a single mom of 3 and a caretaker for my elderly mother. When you cannot move up the ladder at work, how are you supposed to support your family? I am not alone. There are more than 2 million New Yorkers who have conviction records and have faced the same barriers year after year after year, a direct result of decades of mass criminalization that has disproportionately impacted Black and brown communities. For millions of New Yorkers, no matter how hard we have tried, we were denied an opportunity to thrive. However, with Clean Slate, New York will finally begin to dismantle these cruel systems of perpetual punishment. This is a victory for all of us. With courage and vulnerability, we have come together to share our stories. We have built an unprecedented and powerful coalition of businesses, labor unions, civil rights groups, and elected officials. We have chanted and rallied side by side in the freezing cold and sweltering heat. We have taken precious time off of work and away from family to file onto buses at dawn. We have stood row after row on the marble steps of our Capitol and raised our voices to shout, "Clean Slate can't wait." But today, together we do something different. Today, we bear witness to the signing of the Clean Slate Act. Today, a new future of possibility awaits. It is a brighter future for our families, for our state, and for real safety and justice for all of us. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for signing Clean Slate into law.
Please welcome to the podium, Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez.
Good morning, Brooklyn. Today's signing of the Clean Slate Act into law is a win for public safety, and it's a win for fairness. To Governor Kathy Hochul, to Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins, to Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie, and to my good friends, Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz and Brooklyn's own Zelna Myrie, State Senator here in this district, I want to say thank you to all of you for engaging with my office, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, on this legislation, and to listening to the concerns raised by law enforcement and the city's district attorneys. While prosecutors, the police, and other law enforcement will have access to these records, that we need to do our jobs effectively, this bill strikes the right balance between public safety and rehabilitation for those who choose a better path for themselves. It will allow countless New Yorkers to rebuild their lives with dignity, offering them fair access to jobs, education, and stable housing. As a prosecutor, my commitment to justice and fairness does not end when someone is convicted. That's why in Brooklyn, I created the first ever post-conviction justice bureau, which included a sealing unit to help people navigate the complexities of the current sealing law so that people could clear their records. And I am the first district attorney to support making this relief automatic. As you know, I grew up in East New York. I've seen friends and neighbors make mistakes and go to prison, including some family members. Many came back home, but the collateral consequences of those convictions limited them, limited where they could live, what jobs they could do, and that lack of opportunity, in my opinion, is often why the people often get back criminally justice involved and commit more crime. This law ends that brutal cycle and gives people who have been justice involved the chance to fully contribute to their society and to our communities and to reach their God-given potential. Folks, this isn't just about changing lives, it's about enhancing public safety for all of us. And as district attorney, I'm proud to lend my name and my support for the passage of this bill. It's also not about erasing the past. It's about writing a new and bright future. Thank you, Governor Hochul, for your courage in signing this bill, and to the Clean Slate Coalition, congratulations for getting us to today. Thank you. We're now going to hear from Catherine Wild, the President and CEO of New York City Partnership, and a great leader in New York State.
Thank you. I really want to pick up with Eric's theme, the DA's theme, because it was the inclusion of business over the last years in thinking about how to make a law that works for everybody. Because this isn't the end of the game, it's the beginning. Employers now have to step up and employ. So this is only the beginning. But as we think about the future of public safety, the future of criminal justice, there's a lot more to do on all fronts. And this is a model, what Senators Eleanor Myrie, Assemblywoman Catalina Cruz, their respective leaders, and most particularly Governor Hochul, what they have done together to bring us all together, this is a model for what we have to continue to do going forward. This is not the end of the game, from an employment standpoint or from making sure our community is safe and that we really have justice for those who deserve it. So thank you very much for including us today. And both the Partnership for New York City and the New York State Business Council have been pleased to support this effort. And I see the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce president in the audience. This came out of the boroughs as well, so thank you.
Please welcome to the podium, Lala Anthony.
Thank you all for being here today as we celebrate this significant step forward for criminal justice reform in New York. Governor, I want to personally thank you for signing the Clean Slate Act into law today and giving millions of New Yorkers a fair chance at success. I've been to the Grammys, the Oscars, countless red carpets, and I don't think anything has made me more excited than this today. So thank you so much for having me here. Last year, I founded 360, a program at Rikers Island to help mentor and counsel young men who are incarcerated in that jail. We help them form a positive vision of their future after incarceration, and we build relationships that are instrumental to their success when they return home. While my program focuses on those behind bars, we know that true rehabilitation doesn't end at the jail gates. Too many formerly incarcerated people still face hurdle after hurdle when trying to restart their lives, whether it's securing stable housing, a good job, or continuing their education. The stigma of a criminal record often follows them for life and holds too many back from reaching their true potential. This is right on time. Just yesterday, I was with one of our program graduates, an exceptional young man who inspired so many of his peers on Rikers Island. Since coming home, he's done everything right. Found a job, contributes to his community, he's a positive role model. I spent the entire day with him going apartment to apartment, landlord to landlord, while getting doors slammed in our face because no one would rent to him due to his criminal record, and he is not alone. Over the last year, I've been working closely with the Governor's Office and Reform Alliance, shout out to Jessica Jackson, with the population at Edgecombe Transitional Housing Facility. Edgecombe is helping those returning home after incarceration find work and stable housing during their transition. These men are also the ones that will benefit from Clean Slate at the end of their waiting period. By providing true redemption for those who have earned a second chance, we are investing in public safety and our communities. Today, we are opening new doors of opportunity and giving people a fair shot at a fresh start. Governor, on behalf of myself, 360, Romel Barris, Michael Bonilla, Isaiah Garcia, and countless others who will be given a fresh start, we thank you for your commitment to improving public safety and our criminal justice system here in New York. Because of your signature on this bill today and the hard work of the legislator, millions of New Yorkers will get that fair chance that they deserve. I really look forward to seeing this positive impacts this new law will have for years to come. Thank you all very much.
Please remain seated as we sign the bill. Please remain seated as we take photos.